Okay, so I would normally not be up and dressed and all of that on a morning like this morning after I was up half the night, sick to my stomach. But I have guys coming here any minute now to work on building a island to match the rest of my cabinetry and to put marble on top. And I have to have clothing on. So here I am. Here I am doing the YouTubey things. And I want to talk to you a little bit about a couple of things. This is going to be the first, last, and only time that I address Unirock because I'm kind of done with the drama in the community. It's just gotten weirdly ridiculous. I'm going to point out a couple of things. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write for Pathos, a column called No Longer Quivering, for almost 10 years. If you could do the YouTube things, hit like, subscribe, click the bell notification so you know when I'm on. These are just my opinions. Don't bully anybody I talk about. For heaven's sake, don't bully Unirock. That poor he has enough problems as it is. Living in his mother's basement. That's just a start. That ridiculous vaping and Red Bulling he does just makes me despair for humanity. Okay, so don't bully and don't be rude to anybody else here. This is not a space for that. If you're going to show up and call me a sister wife or say I've implanted bad images in your mind, just take yourself on down the road. Okay? So what did I want to talk about Uni a little bit about today? Well, Uni has been really back in full force the last few weeks after a hiatus of him defending Katie Joy or going after Steve. LB did a video where she pointed out that Steve and Uni used to be friends until suddenly they had a little falling out and Uni has just been on the boil to beat on Steve since. I realized something last night. Late last night, I did a video. I had a Nigerian romance scammer, but he's the dullest one I've ever had. Even when I kept throwing weird little red flags out, he never picked up anything. He just kept on with his fiction that he was a doctor. Because it's at night, there's no exterior light. Like right now, I'm facing the window. I'm getting natural sunlight coming in here. And the natural sunlight is what you're seeing on my face. There's no glare. At night, I use this thing. Okay, so the cover is busted off my ring light. The challenges of having cats. Here's the deal, and I notice this every time I use a ring light, which is another reason why I don't like to live stream at night. You get an enormous glare off the glasses. So Unirock has been lead cheerleader in this. Steve was watching while he was live streaming with Aaron, EKC People Sucks, and the lovely Renelle Smith. I've thought about this for a while, and I've talked about it a couple times on Twitter, and I'm going to talk about it now. Steve almost always is in a darker background when he's live streaming, day, night, whatever. You see him in the back. He's not sitting like I am in front of natural sunlight. And if he is using a device like this of any sort, oh God, bowl of cereal, my earphones just fell into a bowl of cereal. Okay, so if he's using any kind of artificial lighting at all, I'm not noticing it. What I am noticing is the same thing that I noticed last night and other nights that I've live streamed and had the glaring lights on me. Anything that you look at on your computer screen in the darkness like that is reflected into your glasses. So while Uni is building up all these conspiracy theories about Steve watching Prawn and whacking off to it, which I don't care. I don't care if that's Uni's only sexual outlet. I don't care if it's Steve's hobby. I don't care anything about that. Take yourself off to your masturbatorium and do your worst. Just don't make me witness it. And what Uni is trying to say is Steve doing the nasty with himself. I don't even know. I've looked at the same things. I'm getting a completely different vibe from that. You know, Renelle said several times she had to tell her kids to quiet down then. If he'd have bothered to watch the video anymore, he would have seen that. If Steve had been watching porn because of the darkness and it was nighttime, his screen would have been reflected into his glasses like it was during the stream, and we would have seen more motion. We wouldn't have seen white with no motion. A prawn with no motion is just a dead fish film. You would see motion, you would see things moving around, reflected. You might even be able to figure out it is the prawn or the corn, as we like to say. And it would have definitely reflected in his glasses some movement. But there's no movement. It's just static and steady. It's like when I'm talking to my Nigerian scammers and I'm flipping screens back and forth, I'm looking to see what they've read and reading it, because I'm kind of now, I'm 62. I'm a craven Luddite now. I used to keep up on all the latest technology and know how to do this and that. In the last 5 or 6 years, I'm just kind of like, yeah, no. So I'm not even using StreamYard, which seems to be the preferred provider of all things live streaming. I don't even know how to use that stuff. I said I was going to talk to Claire about it. I never did. I just never got around to it. And when I do the Nigerians, I'm like, oh, yeah, I should have done that. I should have talked to Claire about this because it'd been useful to stick their conversations on. So I'm doing this last night and I'm looking at all the reflections and I'm reiterating again to myself, see what I said about the reflections? There it is. There it is, buddies. So I've gone back since then and looked at the video and I'm not seeing any movement. Of course, I might be half blind. And for all of you that are calling me a Steve's sister wife, I am not a Steve's sister wife by any stretch of imagination. I've always said that Steve is my friend. That's true. One of the things I appreciate about Steve that Uni and the others are completely absent of doing. If you have a problem with Steve, you can go directly to Steve and talk to Steve about it. And private message where most of this stuff should be and say, hey, dude, can you explain this? I've done that to him. He can tell you I've done that to him. I ask him. There are probably a handful of people I can actually talk to and ask them about things that they posted or ask them about rumors going around who'll talk to me about it. Now, there are some that will blow me off, and I just make a note, breathe in, breathe out, move on. But the people who will talk to me, those are the people that I'm friendly with, because I certainly don't want to talk to anybody who's not going to be kind enough to at least discuss things with me in private. So Uni doesn't understand about the glare. He's so eager to believe the worst of Steve that he is taking this thing that Shin's panty liners buddies have invented out of whole cloth. They could have said this when it first happened, but they didn't. They chose now, months and months later, to actually bring this up. He has grabbed a false narrative and he's run it out. Now, Steve is hated, and I understand why. A lot of people think that he is rude and dismissive. I find that he seems to be a little arrogant of his own knowledge and his own opinions, and that's cool. I have friends that are that way. And that doesn't bother me. It bothers other people. I'm not that person. I'm the one that will go to you and talk to you about my problems with you. I won't blast them all over the internet and invent narratives. Not at all. Look how long it took me to actually say anything about Katie Joy, and that was because of Steve. Steve brought her out. Now, Uni has been making a big spectacle over the fact that I'm writing a book. Dude, I write at least 2 or 3 every year. I don't even publish them. I never have. But this one I will. The last one I wrote that I did not publish was about Carol Ann Cole the Carol Ann Cole murder in Louisiana. The family asked me not to publish, so I did not. I have a whole pile of useless fiction I've done. I wrote for Pathos for nearly 10 years, a daily column, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. And that is way harder than this crap, than this YouTube. Now, it's equally as hard as making good YouTube videos. And I know I'm kind of up and down on that. I am what I am. I'm very ADD, but I am a writer. First and foremost, I am a writer. And I wrote professionally for nearly 10 years. Before that, I'd written for the local paper, I'd written for various publications, smaller things. I still write, but now I write under a pen name because of the idiocy and the threats from people like Uni, who refuse to understand anything about reality. I started doing that under COVID times because the threats ramped up, and I am not willing to put myself at any further risk. Those of you that know me and know me intimately know that I spent 17 and a half years, almost 18 years, in a cult, a CULT church, a quiverful, charismatic, evangelical church. I'm writing about my time there from the distance of about 16 years I've been out. I got out in early 2007, I guess it was. I left then, late 2006, early 2007, and it was the most painful experience of my life. Nothing else comes close to it. Not leaving my father, not losing my father, not almost losing my child, not anything. This was the ultimate and painful experiences because it went on for so long. Every day for 2 years or more, I would run into people from my old church in my little tiny Virginia town that I lived in who would make my life a living hell, that would run up to me and say things like, how can you deny Jesus? How can you deny Jesus when you've experienced a move of Jesus and God so strongly that there's no way you should be able to deny what's going on with our Heavenly Father? I hear you're apostate. Do you know you'll be tossed into the outer darkness and tortured? This was the routine stuff I got. And what had I done to make them think I was a non-believing apostate? Hold on. Hold on to your wigs, folks. The thing I did that made them think I was an apostate was I had left my quiverful evangelical charismatic church, my CULT church, and moved to a Methodist church. A Methodist church whose motto at the time was open hands, open minds, open hearts. I think that was it. And they welcomed pretty much anybody. And at first I was kind of like just sniveling and sitting there hugging myself because that's what we do. We have these big hurts. We hug ourselves. And I sat like that for a long time, hugging myself, doing this because so much of what I do, what I believed in, what I experienced, my understanding as a God were tied to that awful CULT place where people were openly harassing me in my little town. And stupid stuff. Like one time I had that 2 year frame, and I was starting to have really bad asthma then. That's when my mast cell went into high gear. And I didn't know it was mast cell at the time, but tests later on discovered it was. I was having circumstance like one day I went to put on some new Estee Lauder lipstick I had. Not that I got dolled up all the time, but if I was going to go run to the post office and the bank and a bunch of other stuff, I would at least be powdered, lipsticked, and neatly dressed. So I put on the lipstick and my lips swole up. It was hideous. I looked like my lips look like a baboon's butthole. Let's just put it that way. So here I am with my swollen lips going into the post office going, yeah, let's get this over with. Let's get this over with now so I can go home and throw in some Benadryl and other stuff and some prescriptions. So here I am in the post office, baboon butthole lips, and I run into this woman that I now refer to as do-rag head because she always had. Let me show you. Can I pull this off a Kleenex or not? Because she always her hair in a bun, and she always had like what looked to me like a dirty white kerchief, like she'd been blowing her nose in it, tied around her head. Now she didn't like me much because her and I had battled over her telling the pastor that all of us needed to be wearing head coverings lest God strike us all dead. And the pastor and everyone else saying, no, that's not necessary. No, 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 no. So she was trying to steal what the Mennonites did and make it part of our world. And our pastor shot it down. So here she is with her little kerchief, and she's seeing me with my big old honking lips and says, you look weird. What happened to you? I said, yeah, oh, allergies. And then she started in on her, you're getting tossed in the outer darkness and you're going to burn forever bullshit. And I just lost it and told her off. And then I went home. Before the day was out, I had former church members that were contacting me wanting to know I had ruined my face with bad plastic surgery. Bad plastic surgery! Me, who's allergic to everything under the sun, who suddenly now I'm allergic to the formaldehyde in paper towels and certain types of toilet paper. So I'm just allergic to everything. My doctor used to tell me, my mast cell doctor used to tell me if he could seal me in a plastic bubble to protect me, he would do it. Except with my luck and his luck, I would be allergic to the plastic of the bubble and start reacting. So that's how insidious and constant it was. So that's what I'm writing about. And I've taken that book apart 3 or 4 times now. Why? Because some of the things that I'm writing about are such hard and difficult conversations to have. And I have had to move things around a bit. I've had to take circumstances and keep the circumstance, toss out the person, and put an archetype in. I've had to do that because I have no desire to have somebody from the old CULT show up at my front gate. No desire at all. I'm only good friends with one of my friends from them, and she's pretty much moved away from that theology as well. She's the only one that I dare to keep in contact with because she is the only one that treated me decently throughout the entire process. Who sat and listened when I said, I think I'm done with Jesus and God and all of his nonsense. Well, I'm not, but at the time I thought I was. That's one thing that's interesting about faith. We're all on a continuum from here to there, and it's like it shifts day by day. And that's okay. I don't think it surprises God at all if we are doing those things, if we're sliding on that scale. It doesn't surprise him. He's the creator of the universe. He knows we're prone to run into those places. He knows we're prone to do those horrible things. He's not surprised when we gripe about this one or do this or cry because we don't give up money to this person. He's not a bit surprised by any of that. Now, we're pretty stupid if we don't think that that's the way it is. In Unirock, I want to remind you of something. Lying is a sin. It is a grievous sin. It's one of the top 10. You don't hold, you don't, you don't bear false witness. If you do, and you don't repent, woe be it for me. I would not want to be in your shoes. And saying you don't believe in God does not mean that he doesn't exist. I'm throwing that out there for sure. For serious. Not for sure, because none of us know what is and isn't 100% the reality until we're on the other side and we're looking in the face of whatever deity or lack of deity there is. So I guess I'm drawing my line in the sand. I'm saying uni, whatever your name is. I've seen some people calling you by your real name. I'm not going to go that far. Say your worst. I really don't care because you're about like that woman with the do rag on her head who was telling everybody I'd had plastic surgery because I was having an allergic reaction. You are no different than that. And I'm just going to smile, breathe in, breathe out, move on, and say, bless your heart. Bless your heart. And I don't hold anything against you as far as hating you. I'm not part of the haters. I don't even hate Katie. I want her to do better. I want her to be happy. She's clearly not happy. It's just a matter of looking at this from a serious way. So I don't want to talk about you. I don't want to talk about her. It's just stupid. It's just gotten to the point where it's an arms race. And here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid you, her, the entire pork chop defense league or whatever they call themselves, they're going to push someone to kill themselves. And when that happens, that person's blood is going to be on their hands. So I'm stepping out. I'm noping from all of this. I probably won't even post on Twitter except things that are completely unrelated to anything to do with any side. Now, I still probably will talk to Steve, just like I will still talk to Renell or whoever. But I'm not going to be answering any more questions about, oh, you're a cater, you're a this or that. It's the most boring thing on the planet. It's just so idiotic, ridiculous. This is going to be the last worthless morning. I know I've said that before, but I mean it this time. This is disgusting. I'd rather be in my sewing room, sewing a quilt, or in my studio painting. Not listening to this trash. Okay, so now you know about the book I'm writing. You know it is not about Christianity. It is about the awfulness of my old church experience. So I invite you to shut the heck up about it. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. I'm not having a great day physically, and I need to go lay back down before the guys get here. Love all of y'all. Don't accept any BS from anybody. Form your own opinions, do your own research. We don't even have to agree about things. You know, I have lots of friends. I don't agree with them about much of anything. Look at my friend I still have from my church CULT days. Her and I, we don't line up on many things anymore. But we're still friends. We still love each other. I mean, it's possible to be that way. It's possible to allow your friends to hold their own theology and their own ideas about things that you said, okay, so you do you, boo, and don't worry about me. And that's where I am with all of this now. You do you, I'll do me, and life will be happier for everybody. Never let anyone say that, you know, what you believe is utter and total BS. If you can get them to explain and show evidence, receipts, something is in short supply in this stupid community, even better.